Hello, everyone, and welcome to Substance Use and Harm Reduction Abroad. My name is September, and I'll get more into the introduction a bit later, but I just wanted to give you a heads up that this is going to be a pretty fast-paced presentation. And please feel free to pause, take screenshots, take notes of any information that is presented in this presentation. A lot of you have already gone through Alcohol 101, Alcohol EDU here, so a lot of this will be a review. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time going over these topics, but if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and my contact information will be at the end. So again, my name is September. I'm the Alcohol and Other Drug Treatment Specialist. Excuse me, I just combined my two titles. I'm the Alcohol and Other Drug Specialist and the Tobacco Treatment Specialist at Westwell. And I just want to let you all know that you can always come to me with whatever questions you may have. There is no question that is too dumb or too awkward to be asked. I am trained in this field, and so I want to answer all of your questions with all of the best information that I have. If I don't have an answer to your question, I will help you find the answer to your question so that you have all the information and resources you need. When I'm not working, you can usually find me outdoors. I love hiking with my dog. I also am an avid reader, so you might find me on my back porch drinking coffee, usually with Ollie playing in the yard. And I'm also an avid traveler, so in my free time, I like to plan my next trip abroad. Also love cooking something new, often based on the countries that I hope to visit one day. So to get into it, at the Office of Health Education, we take a harm reduction approach in our work. Harm reduction, as you can see here, is a set of strategies aimed at reducing negative consequences associated with risky behaviors, but harm reduction shows up in our everyday lives. It's wearing sunscreen at the beach, it's wearing a seatbelt in the car, it's cooking your meat to a certain temperature to avoid any foodborne illness, it's wearing a mask to prevent the spread of COVID. So while we're talking about it today in regards to alcohol use and drug use, harm reduction makes an appearance in everyday tasks that we do. So again, a quick and dirty review of alcohol. Alcohol is a depressant, which means it slows the functioning of our central nervous system, which ends up affecting your judgment, emotions, reasoning skills, motor skills. It can affect your vital functions. It's always best not to mix any depressants with stimulants such as caffeine. So vodka Red Bull is not a good drink idea. Moving forward, what is a drink? So in the United States, we have standard drink sizes, and all of these drinks contain the same amount of alcohol. So someone who had one beer and someone who had one shot have the same amount of alcohol in their bloodstream. So standard drinks are the way that the United States measure alcohol content. Important to keep in mind that these are just some general categories within alcohol. There are different variabilities in each of these categories. Spiked seltzers probably fall somewhere between beer and malt liquor, depending on the alcohol content and the amount of spiked seltzer you are drinking. Important to keep in mind there's variation between all of these. Beer can have a much higher alcohol content. Even liquor can have higher alcohol content, so important to keep that in mind. Always a good idea to download a BAC calculator or visit alcohol.org and use their BAC calculator to figure out what number of drinks can help keep you in the green zone. And the green zone is right here. It's a blood alcohol content of anywhere between 0.01 and 0.06. So when you're within this blood alcohol concentration, you're feeling the positive effects of alcohol. You're more talkative, you're feeling that warm, fuzzy feeling or the euphoria feeling, but you might be feeling a bit more social and just having some ease maybe within the night if alcohol is something you choose to participate in. Once you get past 0.06, you can start experiencing some of the not so great side effects of alcohol. And so again, BAC is just the amount of alcohol that's circulating in your bloodstream. And if your BAC increases, then your level of impairment is increasing. So important caveats for this when it comes to your BAC. Your BAC charts and those calculators that you're using are based on the biological sex you were assigned at birth, not your gender identity. And this is due to the fact that there are sex-based differences in how alcohol is metabolized. And so it does affect male and female bodies assigned at birth differently. So it's important to keep in mind if you are on hormone replacement therapy, there will be a difference as well. So if that is your situation, please feel free to reach out to me and we can make sure that we're figuring out your BAC in a way that most applies to you to make sure that you're staying in that green zone. Again, standard drink sizes are helpful health guidelines, but not everybody follows them. Most drinks at bars are not following standard drink sizes. So you're often drinking more than a standard drink when you're being served. So your BAC may be higher than what you actually think it is. Also, it's important again to keep in mind those variations in alcohol concentrations. This is especially true when you're in other countries. Not everyone uses the standard drink sizes that we use in the United States, and alcohol concentrations can be a lot more when you are in other countries. Excuse me. Also important to remember that alcohol affects everyone differently. And there are so many different ways and reasons that alcohol can affect one person one way and another person a completely different way. So even if you and your best friend are the same exact sex assigned at birth, same height, same weight, if you had 2 drinks and your best friend had 2 drinks, you could both have a very different reaction to those drinks, just based on your body, based on your tolerance, based on any medications you're taking, a whole number of reasons. So it's important to remember that people react differently to alcohol. So if someone is saying, you know, I think 2 drinks is my limit tonight, it's best just to respect that and support them in that decision rather than ever pressuring someone to drink anymore. So again, tolerance is a really important thing to keep in mind. I do hope you pause and read all of the information on this slide. But the most important thing to take away from this slide is that your tolerance can change, and it most likely will change when you arrive to your host country. You're gonna be in a new environment. You might be in a country where English isn't the primary language, so you're communicating in a different language. You're meeting new people, you're eating new foods. So all of these things can have an impact on your tolerance. So it's best for the first month or so while you're in your host country and you're learning where you are and what you're doing to either avoid drinking alcohol or drink or drink moderately and staying in that green zone because your tolerance will change when you arrive to your host country. Again, an important note is that tolerance does not affect the value of your individual BAC. Even if you are drinking and you don't feel the effects of the drink, your BAC is still rising and you can still experience some of the negative effects of over drinking. So just keep that in mind. Your BAC is still rising even if you're not feeling it. Alcohol poisoning is a really important topic that we need to cover as a group. So these are the signs and symptoms of alcohol poisoning. So if you're seeing any of these signs, it's really important that you call for help. It's so much better to have a friend or a fellow student who is angry with you for calling for help rather than a friend who can't thank you later on for helping them because alcohol poisoning might have had a factor in in what was happening in their life. So if you think a friend or a fellow student is experiencing alcohol poisoning, please call for help. We would much rather that you call for help than not do anything. So call for help, put them in this recovery position so that their head is supported and they're not able to roll onto their stomach. That's really important because if they do need to throw up, we don't want them to choke while they are throwing up. So again, put them in the recovery position, call for help, and wait for the help to arrive. Don't leave this person alone. Again, way better to have a friend who is upset with you for calling for help rather than having a friend who might not be with you anymore in the future. So harm reduction while abroad. So exciting that you all are going to study abroad. This is going to be such a great time. And so these are some important caveats to keep in mind as you move forward. So drug use abroad, the best advice I can offer you is to avoid using drugs while you're abroad. There are different legal systems and different repercussions for drug use while you are abroad compared to while you are living in the United States. It's really important that you do check in on what those drug laws might be when you are visiting. If, let's say, you were to use a substance like this, saying you didn't know it was illegal really won't mean anything if you are caught in this type of law and legal situation. And it's important to keep in mind that sometimes laws like drug laws can be applied more strictly to visitors and tourists than to their local citizens. So even though it might seem like it's not a big deal, because you are a visiting student, because you are a tourist, it could be considered a bigger deal for you to be using the substance. So important to keep that in mind. Again, the best harm reduction advice in this situation is to avoid using drugs while you're studying abroad, even substances like cannabis. I know there's a lot of talk surrounding adult use cannabis in the United States. Wait till you return to the United States if that is something you are interested in. Another reason that it's best to avoid drug use while abroad is that you don't know your source of the drugs. So you don't know if they are a person to be trusted. You don't know if this drug is cut with anything else that you could have an effect to. So those are pretty big risks to take. Also, as I mentioned, your tolerance is going to be low due to the fact you're in a new country, you're living in a new place, you're meeting a lot of people. So your tolerance is going to be impacted by that. Again, should you still choose to use, it's best to contact a professional with any questions. Again, you're always welcome to contact me with any questions you have about drug use. Our conversations would be private. They would only stay between us. And I can help get you the resources you need. Should you be in that situation, it's always best to be with someone that you trust in case there is a medical situation that arrives and somebody needs to call for help. But again, in this situation, it's best to avoid using drugs while studying abroad. When it comes to harm reduction and alcohol use abroad, as you know, the drinking age in the United States is 21. In many other countries, that drinking age might be lower, but it also might depend on the type of alcohol you're drinking. So for example, the drinking age in one country might be 16 for beer, but it might be 18 or 20. When it comes to liquor. So be sure to research the laws surrounding alcohol use, as well as the cultural norms. Ask your host family, ask the fellow students you're studying abroad with, ask some of the students who are studying at the university you're studying with what the norms are when it comes to alcohol use, because the norms surrounding alcohol use in the United States can be very different than the norms when you are studying in other countries. Be sure to be aware of your surroundings, who you're with. being a tourist and visiting a country in general comes with some extra need to be more aware of what's going on, because tourists can be a primary target for some more petty crimes and pickpocketing. So introducing alcohol into that situation can make that more likely. So again, another reason to stay in that green zone is to be aware, to just make sure you're not becoming suspect to being a part of getting pickpocketed or any petty crimes. So make sure you are drinking moderately and in a culturally sensitive manner, remembering that alcohol concentrations and serving sizes can be different. So you might need to adjust your drinking plan to stay in the green zone. If you can, have a buddy with you, have a plan about where you're going for the night, how long you're going to be out, how much you both want to drink. Just have a plan, know what is generally going on. And then, of course, you need to know how to call for help if you find yourself in need for help. I hope none of you find yourself in a need where you need to call for help, but 911 will probably not be the number that you need to call while abroad. So make sure you know the emergency numbers that you need while you're abroad and where to go if you need help. Drinking and driving, no matter where you are, is not acceptable, and it puts yourself and the others in your community at extreme risk for harm. And so while you're abroad, it's the same thing, know your options for transportation that don't involve drinking and driving. So know how to use the public transit service. If you're walking, know how to get home, have the Maps app ready. And if you're going to use a rideshare app, make sure that it's compatible. If Uber and Lyft aren't available in the country that you're visiting, see if there's a rideshare service that is. And again, I know I've mentioned it, but your tolerance is going to be different when you're in your host country compared to when you're home or when you're studying at West. So keep that in mind as you are moving forward. Other harm reduction tips that are just great to keep in mind overall: set a drink limit for the night, preferably in that green zone, and stick to it. Make sure you're staying hydrated. If you're drinking one drink, after that, have a glass of water. If you are having drinks, make sure you're taking sips, avoid shots. Great things to keep in mind. Remember to eat. It's so important to eat when you are choosing to drink. So eat before you go out, eat while you're out, and then eat when you get home. You're all going to be visiting these spectacular countries, so I'm sure there's going to be so much great food. So take advantage of the fact that you have all this great food to eat when you are, or if you are choosing to go out. Make sure you're not crossfading with any other substances. That can increase a lot of risk in these situations. So stick with one substance for the night, and know if your medication is going to have any reaction with or interactions with alcohol, or if you choose to use another substance. Always remember to measure and pace your drinks. Stop when you've reached your limit. Even if that limit is less than last time, it's better to be safe and healthy and feel good the next morning than to try to keep up with someone who might be drinking more than you. There are lots of other harm reduction tips, so always feel free to reach out to me if you would like some other ones to bring into your going out routine. But other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful time while you are studying abroad, and I hope you are all so safe. Again, feel free to contact me, email me with any of your questions, concerns. I'm more than happy to chat with you about anything alcohol and other drug related, recovery, substance free. More than happy to help where I can. Also, you can contact Westwell for other health education and prevention needs. And I hope you follow us on Instagram because we share lots of great information and resources there as well. Anyways, have a great trip, and I can't wait to hear about your stories when you get back. Thank you so much and have a great time.